The question I'm asking is which term describes two or more atoms that are joined by chemical bonds? And to understand this process, I'm using the example of oxygen and hydrogen. And if you think back to your chemistry biology days, you probably learned all about the elements. They were listed by category and type in a table format, and that's known as a periodic table of elements. Well, in case you've forgotten, your book does have a picture of that on page 9, chapter 2. So with that table, periodic table of elements, you know that each element is shown by a symbol, and that symbol is usually either the first letter or the first two letters of that particular element. In the example with oxygen and hydrogen, oxygen's symbol is going to be O, and hydrogen's symbol is going to be H. Also located in each of the elements is and it's going to be on different charts that you're looking at. It might be shown right above the symbol, or the one in your book shows the atomic number in the upper right hand corner. And that atomic number basically shows the number of protons as there are electrons in a normal atom. And if you remember looking back at our atom model, you know that the nucleus consists of both protons and neutrons. Protons are positively charged, neutrons have no charge. And around the nucleus are these shells or rings or orbits, and it looks very similar to our solar system. But each of these shells contain electrons. And the closest the shell is to the nucleus, the least amount of electrons that shell can hold. The further away you get from the nucleus, the more electrons that shell can hold. And each element is going to contain a certain amount of electrons. In the case of oxygen and hydrogen, again looking at your chart, oxygen is going to have 8 and hydrogen is going to have 1. And what happens when this chemical bond occurs? It occurs basically because atoms can be attracted to each other, and when two or more atoms combine, that's what creates that chemical bond. And that chemical bond actually creates what we know to be a molecule. But when that chemical bond occurs, it releases heat and light. And in the case of oxygen and hydrogen, our example that we're using, we know that when that chemical bond occurs with these two particular atoms, it's going to create what we know to be water. So that chemical bond created a molecule, and because we used oxygen and hydrogen, our molecule that we created as a result is water. We know it to be water, and we depict water as usually H2O. Well, there's two ways that a molecule can be formed. It can either be formed by the transferring of electrons or the sharing of electrons. And in the case of water, it's formed when two atoms of hydrogen bond or share their electrons with an atom of oxygen. So what occurs is this. So we knew that oxygen had 8 electrons. So if we count them, I'm going to start over here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These were the 8 electrons that oxygen contained. When that chemical bond occurred, it attracted 2 hydrogen atoms to it, thus forming what we know to be H2O. So here is the 1 electron of hydrogen for each of these, which when you combine it all together, hydrogen now shares 2, and the oxygen now goes from 8 to 10. So now has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 that it's sharing with hydrogen. So that's how we get the abbreviation H2O, because it's 2 hydrogen that were attracted to or combined with in that chemical bond with an oxygen atom. I'm also going to include a video. It kind of shows how this whole process occurs. The video is geared more towards kids, but sometimes the way science is explained to kids makes it much, much easier. And I know for me, I'm definitely more of a visual person, so it definitely helps me to see this whole process occur, for me to really kind of understand, what's going on. So hope this helps. When, again, the question I'm asking is, what happens when, or what is the term that's used to describe when 2 or more atoms that are joined by chemical bonds? And you know that to be that when that chemical bond occurs, depending on, doesn't matter which atoms you are combining, that chemical bond is going to create or form what we know to be a molecule. So again, I'm going to put that video in there. Hopefully it helps you to understand this whole process a little bit easier, and hopefully the example helped you as well.